Okay, so I'm sitting here and I'm listening to the show, and I understand majority of all your viewpoints, and I just feel like that's an aspect of what a woman will put up with to some extent how a man will treat her. But at the same time, I feel like for me individually, I feel like I'm a go-getter. I work hard. I'm educated. I look good. But sometimes I attract the wrong guy. But I feel like you'll give a person an opportunity. Doesn't mean that because they don't choose to respect you, doesn't mean that's a reflection of you. That's something going on with them because they don't respect themselves.
So one second.
And I deal with it.
1 second, young lady. Young lady, what's your name?
Roxanne.
Roxanne. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Washington, D.C.
D.C. Chocolate City. What's happening? All right, so this is what we gonna do, Roxanne. I'm going to have Veronica coach you right now, live on the air. And all she's going to do is ask you a couple of questions about your beliefs and how you get down and how you view relationships. We're going to see why you're attracting the wrong dude. Veronica!
Roxanne, how are you? Hi, Roxanne. How are you today? Roxanne?
I think.
Oh, Jesus. So you got her on pause. So this is what we have to do. This is what has to happen. Roxanne, hold on, because she can still hear us. Roxanne, hold on.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Veronica, but this is what we got to do. This is Roscoe's Media Center, so we ain't got it all together just yet. Chris has to go back and forth. My engineer has to go back and forth because he can't put you guys on at the same time. So, Veronica, if you have questions to ask her, ask Roxanne, and then we'll go back to Roxanne, and Roxanne will answer, and we'll do that back and forth. Go.
Okay, great. Hi, Roxanne. So thank you for allowing this today, and I want you to know that it's all good. It's all safe. There's nothing. It's not painful. So what is it, like, what's the one thing that you want to experience around relationship that you have not been experiencing? If you could wave a realistic magic wand around men, what would you want?
That's a difficult question to ask. I would say it's several things. I'm definitely looking for someone who has that spiritual foundation that you guys were talking about earlier. And I guess to bring to the table to actually really getting to know someone. And like you said, not to be, I guess, influenced by what they see through the media. And I guess it comes with a level of maturity as a person.
So you want a mature man with a strong spiritual foundation. And what's been in the way of that? If you were going to get radically honest right now.
I don't think I'm in the way of that. I just feel like you meet people and everyone comes from different walks of life. So.
Okay.
Go ahead, Veronica.
Well, I'm gonna suggest something, and you can kind of try this on and see if it fits. Just off the top of my head, there's something about boundaries that's missing. In other words, very often we will settle and we will tolerate. See, boundaries are a way of saying no, that to know what's not good for us, saying no to what's not good for us, as a way of protecting what is most precious, right? A pregnant woman has a stomach to protect her baby because it's the most precious. So there's a boundary there. So when we have things, because somewhere along the way we said yes to something that we should have said no to. So what are your thoughts about that?
I think that could be possibly true. But I also feel like, for me, my personal experience, I feel like when someone kind of just shows me something that I don't agree with, or it just rubs me the wrong way, or it goes against my beliefs, I'm patient. I will try to get to know the person a little bit more. But then after a while, I'm not going to stick around. I'm going to move on. So I don't feel like I'm one of those women. I'm just going to tolerate, whatever.
Okay. So if you're not tolerating whatever, then how do the men that are mistreating you get into your life?
Well, I feel like men are smart. They know what they're dealing with before you even open your mouth, like you guys were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, when you're like you were talking about like an alpha male, and sometimes if he's not that, he can't handle a woman who's doing something for herself, who doesn't, act like a whore, or if she doesn't, do anything that demeans herself. A lot of times that men will, I guess, who aren't confident, they don't know how to handle a woman like that.
And so what you're saying is that you're meeting men that are not mature, that don't have a strong spiritual foundation, and that aren't confident. And so somewhere along the line, you either need to upgrade or raise your standards. And it all, wherever we go, there we are, right? And so you're the common denominator in the scenarios that exist in your life. So it's a little bit tricky, and we may need a little bit more time. But there's something that you're believing, that you're tolerating, and I keep saying like substandards, like not. There's a standard that you're not allowing yourself to fully realize. So it feels like there's something that needs to be upgraded.
So this is what we're going to do right here. Veronica, can you give Roxanne your email address?
Sure.
And then...
Sure, you can email me, Roxanne, and we can complete this session, veronica@veronicaconway.com.
And then maybe you can walk her through some of the hypnotic techniques and visualization techniques that we can't do here on the radio that may help her come in contact with the unconscious answers she can't produce right here, right now. Right. Roxanne, are you down with that?
That's awesome.
Your email again?
It's veronica@veronicaconway.com. And thank you.
Wow, that was beautiful. I like that. That's what the purpose of the show is about. There's a vagina bar, and I think the vagina bar is born out of social necessity. She talked about dating an idea. I always tell women, don't date your ideas, especially if they haven't been challenged and vetted out. Most people's that's the fantasy. The fantasy is a concept. The fantasy is an idea. And if the fantasy hasn't been vetted out or challenged and you go date it, all men have to do, because women value behavior over anything else. So what is a man's job? I'm going to figure out what you believe. And then I'm going to mold my behavior to your belief. And because you only care about the bottom line behavior, receiving it, so what happens when you receive a behavior that's in alignment with a belief? That's called behavioral confirmation. See, that's how men are supposed to behave. That's a good man. He opened the door. He pulled out the chair. He grabbed the bill. Those behaviors are in alignment with my beliefs. Confirmation that he's good. The only weakness to that is behaviors speak louder than words, but they don't speak louder than intent. I can intend to do everything in alignment with your belief until I get the pussy. And then once I get the pussy, you go, well, who are you now? I got the pussy, and then you're not connected to your spirit. So there's really no anchor that keeps me here, that makes me want to stay. Bobby?
One of the brothers I feature in my book by the name of Harry Pickens told me something that I think is applicable to this conversation that just went down. That which you seek purely means 100 in your heart is also seeking you.
Rumi, yeah.
And it's unavoidable, it's unassailable, it's irrefutable. And as it applies to this conversation, when the sister says she's attracting brothers that ain't about it or whatever, then you got to ask yourself, what am I emitting?
Yes.
Am I sending out that real signal? Because whatever you give out, that's what you're going to ultimately get back.
The lady template is a lie. You attract what you are. Veronica said something on this show a couple weeks back when she says, here's a litmus test.
Wounding magnetized to us that which reflects our wounding.
Wow.
So if we, for example, have never been fully validated, or we want security, right? Because we had an insecure childhood, and that sits in our sort of our cellular memory as wounding, then we'll continue to draw to us a wounded state or a wounded situation until we go in and heal it. And that, by the way, is the purpose of sex. That, by the way, is the purpose of personal transformation, is to go in and heal that wounding. But we're going to keep getting the same thing as long as the wound is unreconciled.
And that's a great point. And Veronica, you said a couple weeks back on the show, you said a litmus test is when a man has sex with a woman, see how she changes over the next 72 hours, and how she behaves then is a reflection of his consciousness. So if she gets clingy, that's because he's clingy. If she gets, tripped out and whatever is going on in her, it's a reflection of the dude she just had sex with. That people don't understand. Sex is spirit. Sex is magic. They don't understand that. Listen, we got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to wrap up this show. This shit is crazy. We'll be back at 2.2.
And it's good, too.
Yeah.